Good morning. Today is the fifth episode in our series of self-assessment and self-improvement. As mentioned in episode 4, today I'll be talking about things that we may think that we have to improve, and yet there's no room for improvement, or even worse, we actually should not try to improve them because they're already good enough for us as the individual that we are. Now, the issue with that is, who are we allowing to help us improve? Unfortunately, because many of us, we are very social, and we are a social being. We interact with members of our community and our society. But one thing that actually we struggle with is, or one thing that actually I feel is a weakness for a lot of people, is trying to please others. And when we do that, we allow for others to define who is or what is the acceptable behavior for whoever they're dealing with. And if today I'm dealing with a person who thinks that I am, and I'm going to use the word straightforward, I am straightforward, and I'm honest, and I'm sincere because I say it the way it is. And then tomorrow somebody comes to me and says, well, you're very rude. So what do? Do I have to improve on something that was actually praised for yesterday and called out on today? Or do I actually try to be honest and sincere and straightforward with the second person and say it the way it is? I don't appreciate your feedback. Another example, which really is the heart of my topic today. Somebody comes to you and says, you know what? You sugarcoat things. You're a hypocrite. You don't say things the way they should be said. Then you look at yourself and say, maybe I should not be a sweet talker. Maybe I should be straightforward and say it the way it is. Now, the issue with that is just the fact that you allowed for somebody else to tell you that what you're doing is wrong without even trying to understand what is their approach to life, or why do they even matter. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be listening to everybody who comes and gives you advice. But let's say that you do listen to somebody who gives you an advice and says, you know what? Maybe you should be more straightforward. Don't sugarcoat things. You're a hypocrite for trying to be nice when you try to say what you try to say. Well, as a person who, again, follows the teachings of my own book, the Holy Book, and my Prophet, I know that you should stick to the message, especially if it's a message of truth. But you have to take into account the person that you're dealing with, their situation. We always say, don't change or compromise the message, but change the way you deliver the message. And it's equally important the way that you deliver the message to the message itself. So it is actually of a great characteristic of anyone to be very considerate when it comes to delivering a message. You take into consideration the person that you're talking to, their situation, their feelings, while you're not compromising the message. Now, again, as I mentioned before, there is actually a quality that many people actually don't have, and they should have. So when somebody who's lacking that quality and defines rudeness as being straightforward and honest comes to me and almost pushes me over the cliff to compromise the quality that I have but they lack, that is a very disastrous feedback. And the only one who stands to fail and to lose is us if we follow that feedback. That's why I mentioned earlier, even if you have somebody who is a role model to you, you have to be careful, for they're not perfect. They may be brave with enough self-confidence, and all these are good things, great self-esteem, outspoken, but with that, they might be rude at times. Then you don't see that as a good quality to follow. And if you try to change the way that you deliver the message, which initially was a great way of doing it, then you are not improving yourself, but destroying yourself. So be careful as to what you compare yourself to when you're conducting the self-assessment. And even more important, what standard do you hold yourself up to when it comes to self-improvement?